what is the situation like in Maryborough at the moment? As we know, the flood barriers failed. How much water are you seeing in the CBD at the moment?
The flood is rising towards 10 metres. We know it's going to reach 10.5 metres, peak at 10.5 metres by about 10 p.m. tonight, and then continue through the night and into the morning. A few hours ago, we had a catastrophic and devastating failure in the barricade system, which we set up yesterday. Somehow, one of the gates in the stormwater system underneath the barricade failed, which means the flood water is coming up underneath the barricade. And whether it's a bolt or something has failed catastrophically, which is meaning the flood water is now entering the entire CBD up to the 10.5 metres and underneath the barricade. We are right now throwing more pumps at it. We have got pumps from Handy Hire and anywhere else we can get to try and salvage what we can from the barricade.
So no doubt workers have been evacuated. What does this mean for businesses in the CBD?
Well, this increases the number of businesses that are affected from about 15 to over 100. So it really enlarges the area that is inundated. We are working with all of them. We're sandbagging. We're helping them to move their stock up, higher or out of the floodwaters way. We still have a few more hours to do that. And business owners, many of them were already prepared, had already sandbagged.
Now, as you mentioned, the flood peaked tonight, expecting it, I believe, around 10 p.m. How do you see this evening unfolding? What plans are in place?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a very scary thing to have floodwaters rising in the middle of the night. People shouldn't be driving. The Bruce Highway is still cut at Tyro and will be for some time. There's isolated communities on our region. People in Granville need to ensure that they are storing 2 to 3 days worth of water, because there may come to be a situation with our water supply where that is lost, the water supply for Granville. So people need to be storing at least 2 to 3 days worth of supply there. So there are a number of issues. There have been flash flooding. A young man has died. Police and emergency services are still looking for a young girl. That is, of course, the most tragic circumstances of all of this, that a young girl's life could be lost and that a young man's life was lost a couple of days ago. People need to be safe. That is fundamentally and 100% the most important thing.
Now, when it comes to the community, you look like you're out in the middle of it at the moment. How is everyone up there feeling?
Well, it's a slow-moving disaster. I mean, the water is rising slowly. I mean, it's in buildings now. Our Woolworths is going to be closed for a while. So it's a slow-moving, creeping disaster. If you go down to the river, you'll see it roaring. The Mary River is roaring towards the ocean, but the actual way that it seeps up into the city, it's a slow thing. So you can watch it, throughout the day and approach. So that Maryborough's used to it. Maryborough is on the Mary River. Our record flood was 1893. This will be about 3 meters below that. We have floods, the Mary River floods regularly. This one has been very much quicker than usual. Usually floods in Gympie and we have 2 or 3 days notice. What happened here was 700 millimeters of rain fell in places like Glenwood and Cannigan. And so the flood has been roared down here very, very quickly with less than a day's notice.
And just finally, you did touch on it in terms of water issues, but what do you then expect in coming days after the water recedes? Will people still be cut off? Will they have to think about food and water supply?
Yeah. Well, nobody's cut off from the water supply yet. We're just encouraging people who are in Granville, who are isolated anyway because of the bridge, to keep 2 to 3 days of water storage, because there is a potential issue. One of the water transport infrastructure has been heavily eroded by the flood. And if that goes, then we will lose water connectivity to Granville. So it's a slim chance, but it is a very serious, significant issue if we do. So we're encouraging people to fill their bathtub up and keep 2 to 3 days water, just to be as resilient as possible.
Fraser Coast Council Mayor George Seymour, thank you for your time this evening. Stay safe, and our thoughts are with everyone impacted going into tonight and over coming days.
Thank you.